17 and we have done 18. And we're up to item number 19, the significance and engagement policy proposed for adoption, which also has a supplementary attachment. Okay. Shall I get a mover and seconder? Moved Pauline, seconded Ali. Yanni.
I just wanted to be clear under 2.4 of the memo. You've talked about a change being made around strategic assets. And I was just wondering who that, I mean, do we know who that member of the public was and what their interest?
Oh, I don't know that that's...
Well, I guess I would be reluctant to support what the recommendation. It seemed to me that if you take assets and you hop them off one by one, that
well, let's actually look at what's suggested by way of change rather than decide which member of the public decided it. So which actual change are you pointing to, Yanni?
So it was 2.4. I don't know, maybe staff can highlight which that's actually on.
So the actual change in the policy, if you go to page 15 on the memo, and you'll see there's just below the bottom there's a underlined statement that says all or its means the strategic asset as a whole, and that was really added for clarification. So the member of public clearly identified that there was some ambiguity. All it was intended to do was convey what we had meant in the policy previously and had discussed with you previously. If you remember, there was a conversation when we had some of the briefings about potentially revisiting this list through the LTP process, and at that point, some of this may change.
Okay. So the point that you're raising, Yanni, is merely to clarify the how much of the asset, and in fact, it includes all of it. Yep. Yep.
And
what changes, Alan, in here from what's in the first report?
So that's one of the changes. So there's a couple of references where in the policy we've just referred to the attachment to the policy, and that was about linking the two things together properly. And what was the other item? Okay, yes, and there was just some slight changes of wording again to try and make things clearer under the criteria on page 8. So if you see the letters A to J, you'll see there's some changes just a change of a word in E,
right.
F and G.
So the changes are actually not significant?
They're not significant. It was, again, we're just trying to get it right, as right as we can.
Thank you. So I've got a mover and seconder. Is there any questions? Pauline? Sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to get that. I just wanted to be really clear, though, that by adding all or its means the strategic asset as a whole, we don't change the value of those individual assets in any way. So if you take car parking and you had 4 car parking buildings and you sell off one, then you're down to 75%, which would be significant. If you sell off 2, you then, so we still have to make that judgment around each asset if it is considered individually, and the changes that you're proposing don't in any way reduce the value of those individual components.
The changes don't reduce the value at all. The policy, as it was in the last LTP and as intended here, I'm looking at Mr Thompson as I say this, is that in your example of car parking buildings, effectively we're saying if you want to do change the ownership or control of the whole package, the whole network, then that makes it a strategic asset. But you could do individual items without it being a strategic asset. And the only difference that means is that if it's a strategic asset, you've got to do an SCP. If you wanted to perhaps sell one building, then you're not required to do the SCP. You might choose to do it. You would still have to assess that decision of selling one of the buildings against the significance that decision and do the appropriate consultation and engagement based on that.
Okay,
So it can confuse.
It would
thank
25%.
you, Alan.
significant.
Pauline?
The steering group, the community engagement steering group, is that still going and who's on that?
Well, that's a staff group, so it works across the organisation. It is about trying to, I suppose, take a more strategic look at the way that we do engagement and to learn from the experiences that different parts of the council have. So it's a sort of shared group of staff.
So is that ongoing
It is ongoing, yes.
and it will stay ongoing?
Yes, yeah. I think it's got a continued role to play.
Okay, that's good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any debate? If not, I'm going to put the motion, which is moved by Pauline, seconded by Ali. Those in favour, please say aye. Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. That was